Hello and welcome to my channel. Spring's right around the corner, and that means the monuments are about to start. We will begin with Milan Remo next weekend, which is a really great race because a lot of different riders can do well in that sort of race. First, because of the lengths. It's a really tiring race. After almost 300 kilometers, not everyone has the power left to do quite well. We saw in 2018 with Viviani, who was a favorite and arguably the best sprinter of the season, but he faded at the end of such a long race. He was dead last of his group, of the sprinters group, behind Nibali, and he was even behind the lead-out guys, so he was just finished, and I don't know, maybe he just had a bad day, or maybe he can't cope with the distance of races of that length. There are riders who are really good at races of 180, 200 kilometers, but in the monuments who are 240, 260, or like this race, 290 kilometers, they just can't do it. And I already talked about him, last year's winner Nibali. He attacked on the Poggio, and no one could follow. And on the descent, he's one of the best descenders in the world. So yeah, he held the bunch off and won the race. And Sanremo is often called the Sprinters Classic, but of the last 8 years, only 3 finishes were bunch finishes. So that should tell you that even though sprinters can win this race, other like the Lombardia or Liège-Bastogne-Liège, a sprinter has no chance in that race. But in Sanremo, they have a chance if they get over the hills, but you also have to always account for attacks, be it on the Poggio or maybe even before that, because some riders will try to go long. Like there are riders who will attack on the Poggio probably, like Nibali last year, maybe Valverde, even though he said he does not like the race, but it's still a possibility. He is world champion. That was a race that he can cross off his list now. Maybe he tries to get Sanremo as well. Then Alaphilippe can attack there, like he did 2 years ago, and finished third in the group behind Kwiatkowski and Sagan. Sagan himself can attack at that point, but he can also wait for bunch finish. He can do both, so that's what makes him really dangerous. Van Avermaet can go over the Poggio. Who's another rider who could attack at that point? Maybe Lutsenko. I don't know if he's riding this race at the weekend. He's in really great form. But I would also like to mention Philippe Gilbert, who will 100% try his luck. He's at the back end of his career, so I don't think he has the sprint anymore to win against Van Avermaet, Valverde, Sagan in a sprint of a reduced group. So even if he attacks on the Poggio and drags a few guys with him, he won't beat them in a sprint finish. So he has to go long like he did at his Tour of Flanders. And he attacked with 50 kilometers to go in that race. And I expect something very similar at Sanremo. I'm not saying it will work or that he is a clear-cut favorite, but he will try his luck, and it's still a possibility, because even though he does not have the sprint, he has the engine to hold the peloton off. And he showed at Paris-Nice this week that he is in really good form for the Spring Classics. And I'm curious to see how he will fare. But yeah, but other than that, there are also, if it comes to a reduced bunch finish, you have to mention guys like Caleb Ewan, who has an entire team dedicated to him at Lotto Soudal. They will support him every way they can, just like Demar for Groupama FDJ. They were really their sprinter, and that's it probably. Also Trentin for Mitchelton Scott, who a lot of people forgot about last season because he was really, really successful at Quickstep when they were still called that. Now the Koenig. He won basically at least one Grand Tour stage every year. He started off winning Tour stages, then won stages at the Vuelta, and also has Giro. No, first the Giro, then the Vuelta, I think. But yeah, he has quite a few Grand Tour stages, even though he was never the main guy for Quickstep, but he took his chances when they were there on those lumpy stages when he went into the breakaway or reduced bunch finishes, and he's really good at that kind of terrain. And yeah, last season he had a few injuries due to crashes, so his first season at Mitchelton Scott wasn't that great. At the end of the year he started winning again, which was nice to see. And this season he also started off well. And Milan Sanremo is basically a race tailor-made for him. It tires a lot of people out, but you can win when you're a decent sprinter. And Trentin is a guy who gets over hills really good, but also is an above-average sprinter. I wouldn't call him top tier on a flat 200-kilometer sprint stage, but Sanremo is different. It has those hills at the end. It is 290 kilometers, which brings me to the UAE team, who have two top sprinters. They have Christoph and Gaviria, and usually you would say Gaviria has to be their guy, but after such a long, hard race, I am not so sure about that. I would go with Christoph if I'm quite honest, who has done well in monuments, who has done well in long races, tiring races, hardman's races. That is his thing, and maybe Gaviria should work for him, be his lead-out guy, while at the Tour it will obviously be the other way around, when the stages are much shorter and most of the time completely flat. But at the weekend I would go with a Norwegian rider. Then we also have to mention Magnus Kort, who had a few good results over the last 2 years at this race. Also Colbrelli. Colbrelli has ridden Sanremo 6 times, and out of those 6 times he finished inside the top 15 5 times. So he's always up there. He's always in the mix. He has never won it, but if things go right and there is a reduced bunch finish, I think he has to be one of the guys you have to account for. So yeah, who do I have to mention? Who else is out there? Well, yeah, I talked about a lot of the De Koenig riders. They have basically 3 captains. They have, like I said, Gilbert, who can go long, Alaphilippe, who can attack on the Poggio, and along with Sagan, he is my main favorite, probably, Alaphilippe at this point. And if Viviani has a good day, or not a bad day like last year, and he's also a dangerous guy, and they are probably overall the best team for the race, while Sagan has to be probably the best individual favorite, because he can do both. He can attack on the Pacho, he can win a reduced bunch finish, he even can win normal bunch finishes. He showed that often enough at the Tour de France. He wins the green jersey every year, basically. So yeah, Sagan, Alaphilippe. If they attack on the Poggio, you also have to mention Greg van Avermaet. I don't think I mentioned him before. And maybe Nibali. Maybe it was all bluff. His early season was unspectacular. It was It almost seemed like he was in bad shape, or at least not in a great shape yet. But you never know. With Nibali, he's a really mysterious rider. It's hard to read him if he is able to do well before a race, before a stage or a day. You don't know. And last year we saw when he goes, and if he's alone over the Pacho, he is probably the best descender in the world. So yeah, I won't say that he can't repeat what he did last year. It will be hard because of the form like some other guys are in. When he attacks this time around, there will be guys like Alaphilippe, there will be guys like Lutsenko who can follow him and are probably faster in the sprint than him. And then he really has to take some risks on the descent. It's a really tricky descent. We saw that over the years. There are often crashes of guys who go too fast in the corners, who try to join the elite groups, and they just crash. And you're so close to the finish, and you give it your all, of course, but you overshoot those corners. It's a dangerous descent. Maybe that's why Valverde does not like the race or the descent, because it is that dangerous, because so many guys crash there every year, take risks. I won't say unnecessary risks, because the reward of winning a monument is so high that you're willing to take those risks, and that also makes these monuments such amazing races. Like if you look at Paris-Roubaix or the Ronde van Vlaanderen with the cobbles, every year dozens of crashes, and that is kind of what makes these races so amazing. It's races for the heart, man. It's only one day, but after the end you are so tired. You feel that pain for days after the race, even if you win. That makes it a lot sweeter, of course, but yeah, these monuments they take a toll on the bodies of the riders in one way or another, because they're all different. And yeah, Milan-San Remo, longest race of the season, longest one-day race of the season, at least. I can't wait for the weekend. I hope you will enjoy it. I'm out.